see that you, like so many before you, have discovered the delights of the Mirror of Erised.
Welcome to Design Build Make. I'm Clayton. Today we're making the Mirror of Erised from Harry Potter, which is this mirror that's supposed to show your deepest desires when you look at it. When Harry looks at it, he sees his, dead parents. But we're taking a slightly more commercial view of it, and we're just going to show whatever's on your Amazon wish list. To make the mirror, we're going to make a giant 6-foot two-way mirror, which means that light reflects off of one side of it, makes it a mirror, but the other side lets light through, so we can put a screen or something behind it to actually show the things from your Amazon wish list. And then we're going to pair that up with some software that can determine who's looking at it and what their wish list is, so that we can actually show the right items for the right person. 6-foot two-way mirrors are really expensive, and we didn't feel like dropping several $100s on them. So we decided to roll our own here. So we bought a giant piece of plexiglass and some two-way mirror tint. You can buy it for like the windows on your house to reflect light out so that your house doesn't get as hot. Then you can apply it to really any smooth surface. I chose plexiglass because it's the cheapest thing we could find at that size. We considered a shower curtain, but the shower curtain was really hard to get smooth and to get the film to apply to it well. And it was going to look like a funhouse mirror. Alright, so Amazon just delivered the mirror film, and we have our plexiglass, so it is time to start trying to apply it. But first, some ASMR. So I'm afraid that if I try to get all the bubbles out piece by piece, that as I'm laying more down, I'm going to move it around and mess it up. So I'm just going to lay it all out and then try to work out 6 feet of bubbles. And we'll see if that's actually a good idea or not. All right, so my plan is I'm going to try to work towards the edges and then work my way down. We'll see how it goes. I've never really done this big of a piece ever before, so we'll see. Well, that's not too bad at all so far. Yeah, take a look. Like, here's a big bubble. That's the biggest bubble I have yet, so we'll see. Yeah, that's real nice. Oh, and the mirror finish is really good too. Oh, that's great. This is gonna be good. I think it looks pretty good, honestly. I did my usual level of care, which means that there's some dirt and other stuff that's trapped underneath there, but overall, it looks like a mirror. Other than the mirror itself, the hardest part, or at least the biggest part of this project, is the code that makes this work. At its core, we need to figure out who's looking at the mirror and then pair them up with whatever their Amazon wishlist URL is so that we can go grab an image from it. The biggest piece that makes this work is something called facial recognition. For facial recognition, you really need something called a reference image, which is just an image of someone's face that you can compare to incoming images of faces to decide whether or not it's the same person. So we uploaded reference images of my face, my wife's face, and so on, anyone who is going to use this. And then the code has a webcam, and when it sees any faces, it compares it to these reference faces and decides whether or not it's anyone that it knows. And if it is, then we already have preloaded in there the URL for their Amazon wish list, and we scrape that and grab a random item from it to display on the screen. So the facial recognition is a pretty complex problem, but there are so many libraries out there to make it way easier. So I use something called OpenCV, which is a really common open source computer vision library, and it honestly made this like 5 lines of code. So I've actually been saying I when I'm talking about the code, but I didn't actually write it. We're in a house full of software engineers, so I let somebody else do that while I was working on the mirror. Say hi to the best software engineer in our family. I think for the build, we have a mirror. We got the code working. We just need to somehow figure out how to put that TV behind the mirror and rotate it 90 degrees without it falling. I think maybe drill a couple holes in the top to hang it from a rafter. I really should be supporting this, but here goes nothing, I guess. That's not great. So I split the plexiglass where I was hoping to hang it. Lesson learned. So it sounds like you're supposed to have a specialty bit for plexiglass to keep it from cracking. So we don't have those. We'll try something else. I think we tape it. So the original plan was to put a TV behind the mirror, and that's what you see most of the time with these magic mirrors is a TV behind it. But also the magic mirrors aren't usually 6 feet tall, and so hanging this thing was actually one of the hardest parts. And trying to figure out how to hang it with a giant TV behind it as well was really difficult. So we went around measuring all the TVs in our house and trying to figure out one that would fit well. We really wanted it to fill a lot of the mirror, which meant that we wanted to turn the TV on its side so that it was vertical, which just made the whole problem a lot harder as well. Eventually, my wife Nora came up with the idea of just using a projector that we already had to project the screen on the back, and that turned out to be so much easier. So I must admit, I'm a very weak Harry Potter fan. I read Harry Potter and watched Harry Potter movies growing up, but not in a long time. Honestly, I wanted to make a giant two-way mirror. I'd seen people make these mirrors that you can like put up in your bathroom, and it'll show you the weather and your calendar in the morning. And that seemed kind of overdone now, and I hadn't seen anybody who made the Mirror of Erised, so that seemed like a good way to try this out. And here we have it, the Mirror of Erised. When I walk in front of it, ooh, there we go. It's kind of hard to see. Let's get off to the side. That's a water bottle for my bike. Yeah. And let's see what else we got. Ooh, a giant black cat stuffed animal. You know, we got the lights down pretty low here so that you can see the image well on the camera. But in real life, it shows up pretty well. So you can see the camera's off to the left. I have to be looking at the camera for it to show an item from my Amazon wish list. If I look away, you'll see that it'll disappear. I look back at it, and now we get a new item. But yeah, it's really cool. And the mirror actually works pretty well as a mirror. You know, there's some like dimpling and so forth, but overall, it's actually pretty decent, considering it's a giant 6-foot mirror that we made. And you can see the projector a little bit behind it, but overall, like, yeah, this turned out way better than I thought it was going to, so I'm pretty happy about that. Okay, let's see what Sadie's deepest desire is. Don't let the girl down. Smash that subscribe button.